Part 1 expanded to approximately 700 words. The afternoon sun hung low over the Lone Lantern Ranch, turning the sky the color of old copper. Heat shimmered off the dry earth, painting wavering mirages across the open field. Cicadas buzzed lazily, and the wind carried the scent of sagebrush and baked soil. Cole Maddox sat on the front porch like a man carved from the very land, broad shoulders, dusty boots crossed at the ankles, hat tipped just enough to hide his eyes but not his smirk. It was the posture of a cowboy who believed he had the world figured out. Inside the ranch house, muffled noises drifted through the open windows, pots rattling, footsteps shuffling, a broom being dragged across old wooden floors. The new maid was working again. Cole had barely spoken more than a handful of words to her since she'd arrived. Not because he was rude, but because he figured she wasn't the type to strike up conversation. She was quiet, kept her head down, and moved about the house like a whisper. Maria had shown up on the ranch gate 6 days earlier carrying nothing but a small satchel and a hesitantly offered smile. Cole remembered how she'd stood there, dust coating her shoes, a few strands of dark hair escaping her braid. She didn't look like she belonged on a ranch, she looked like someone who belonged anywhere else. But she'd asked for work, said she could clean and cook and mend, and Cole, despite his gruff exterior, never turned away someone who truly needed a job. The screen door creaked now, pulling Cole from his thoughts. Maria stepped outside carrying a wooden tray with 2 tall glasses of lemonade, beads of condensation running down their sides. She walked carefully, concentrating on keeping the glasses steady, her brows knitting just slightly. "Mr. Maddox," she said softly, pausing at the edge of the porch. Cole tipped his hat back just enough to get a good look at her. "Afternoon." Maria took a breath like she was gathering courage. I made some lemonade. Thought you might want some while you rest." He accepted a glass, nodding, but she didn't leave. She stood there, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, fingers tightening around the tray. Something was bothering her, he could see it plain as day. "You look like you swallowed a burr," Cole said with a lopsided grin. "Something on your mind?" Maria hesitated, swallowed hard, then lifted her chin slightly, a tiny gesture of bravery. "Yes," she said, "actually, I'd like to offer you a trade." That earned a real reaction. Cole let out a warm, rolling laugh, the kind that echoed across the porch boards. "A trade, you?" He pushed his hat back fully now, amusement lighting his eyes. "Darlin', with all due respect, you ain't got anything I'd be wantin'." Her cheeks colored, but she didn't step back. She didn't even blink. "I can cook, I can clean, I can fix the holes in your shirts and patch the tears in your saddle," she said, her voice steadier than before. "But that's not the trade I'm offering." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Oh, then what kind are you offering?" Maria took another breath, her fingers trembling just barely around the tray. "I want you to teach me how to ride." For a moment, Cole just stared at her, and then he burst out laughing again, louder than before, nearly choking on his drink. "You, ride?" He shook his head, still chuckling. "You can barely walk across the porch without that tray rattling. Horses ain't for the faint-hearted, sweetheart." But Maria didn't shrink away this time, she didn't even look embarrassed. She set the tray down gently on the railing and met his gaze head-on, her eyes dark and unwavering. "I'm not faint-hearted," she said quietly. "And I didn't come to this ranch just to clean floors." Cole's laughter faded into a puzzled silence. Part 2 expanded to approximately 700 words. Cole wasn't sure what unsettled him more, the envelope Maria carried or the confidence hidden beneath her quiet manner. But curiosity had always been stronger than caution in him. So when dawn crept across the horizon the next morning, painting the sky pink and gold, he saddled Daisy, the gentlest mare on the ranch, and waited for Maria by the corral. He half expected her not to show. Maybe she'd lost her nerve. Maybe the strange tension from yesterday was just nerves. But a few minutes later, she emerged from the bunkhouse, tying her braid with nimble fingers, expression determined despite the shadows of sleep under her eyes. "You're serious about this ridin' thing?" Cole muttered as she approached. "Yes," she said simply. He handed her the reins. "All right then. First rule of horses, they can sense fear. And you're tremblin' like a leaf." "I am not trembling," Maria protested, right before the mare snorted and she flinched. Cole tried not to smile. Tried, and failed. "That right, you sure?" She shot him a look that said she would rather eat cactus needles than admit he was right. He liked that. He liked the grit she was showing, even if she didn't realize it herself. "Okay," he said, tapping the saddle. Foot in the stirrup, left side. Maria lifted her foot, missed, tried again, missed again. On the third attempt, her toe finally hooked the stirrup. She pushed up, but too hard, and ended up halfway over Daisy's back, clutching the saddle horn like she was hanging from a cliff. Cole caught her arm before she toppled off. "Easy there," he said, steadying her. "You ain't wrestling a bull. Just mounting a horse." "I knew that," she said through gritted teeth. "Sure you did." Once she was seated, surprisingly balanced for a novice, Cole guided her hands to the reins. "Hold 'em gentle. Daisy don't need fightin', she needs direction. She's smarter than half the ranch hands have had." Maria eased her grip, breathing slowly. Daisy flicked her ears as if approving the change. "That's it," Cole said. "Now give her a little squeeze with your heels." The mare took a step. Maria gasped like she was on the edge of a cliff. "That's walking," Cole said, trying not to chuckle. "She ain't fixin' to run you off into the canyon." "Feels faster than I expected," Maria whispered. "It ain't," he assured her. "Trust me." For the next hour, they went around the corral, walking, stopping, turning, repeating. Maria fell once when she forgot to lean with the horse. Fell twice when she dismounted too early. The second time, she hit the dust with such a loud thump that Cole winced and nearly ran to help her. But before he could offer a hand, she pushed herself up, brushing dirt from her apron with shaky determination. "I can do it again," she insisted. Cole studied her silently. He'd seen ranch hands quit after one bad fall. But Maria, she was stubborn in a way he hadn't expected. Stubborn enough to surprise him. Stubborn enough to respect. By noon, sweat shone on her forehead and dust streaked her cheeks, but she sat taller in the saddle, her back straight, her hands steady. "You're learning quicker than I thought," Cole admitted as he handed her a canteen. Not bad for a girl who came to the ranch barely able to look a chicken in the eye. Maria smiled faintly, accepting the water. "Thank you, for teaching me." "Yeah, well," he scratched the back of his neck. "About yesterday, you said you came here for a reason." "A reason?" Your voice made sound like trouble. Her smile faded. Cole felt his chest tighten. "Maria, what do you know about my father?" She looked away, toward the vast fields stretching out beyond the fence line. "More than you do, I think," she said quietly. He stepped closer. "Explain." Slowly, hesitantly, Maria reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small, weathered envelope. Cole recognized the handwriting even before she offered it to him. His father's looping script, rushed and uneven. "I didn't want to show you until I was sure you'd listen," she said. "Your father sent this before he passed. He told me to deliver it, and to warn you. He said men would come looking. Dangerous men. Men he owed." Part 3 expanded to approximately 700 words. The envelope felt impossibly light in Cole's hands, light, but heavy with a dread he hadn't felt in years. He tore it open slowly, like the paper itself might bite. Maria stood silent beside him, fingers wringing the hem of her apron, eyes fixed on the dust beneath her boots. Inside were 3 pages, each more frantic than the last. His father's handwriting, normally neat, even proud, was jagged, slanted, rushed. Cole read each line as though swallowing stones. "Son, if this reaches you, then I've run out of time. I made mistakes, more than you know, and there are men who won't stop till they've taken everything Maddox's hands have ever built. If anyone can warn you, it's the girl who saved me once. Trust her." Cole's heart slammed against his ribs. His father had never spoken of debts, never mentioned enemies. He'd always kept his troubles buried under a stern jaw and silent nights. Cole thought the man died with peace. But these words, broken, desperate, told a different story. He folded the letter carefully and looked at Maria. "How long have you known?" She looked up, guilt flickering across her face. "Since the day he wrote it. He found me in a mining town. My brothers were in trouble. He helped us, protected us when he didn't have to. I owed him more than I could repay. When he fell ill, he told me everything. Told me to find you. So you came here to warn me." Cole swallowed. "But why didn't you just say it when you arrived?" She hesitated before answering. "Because I wanted to see what kind of man you were first. If you were worth trusting. Worth saving." That stung. A strange mix of pride and irritation rose in him. "And what did you decide?" "That you laugh too much at people who are trying," she said bluntly. Then her expression softened. "But you're decent, and brave, and maybe a little stubborn. The kind of man who deserves to know the truth." Cole didn't know if he should feel honored or insulted. He settled somewhere in between. A wind whipped across the ranch, lifting dust into swirling spirals. The sky darkened slightly, clouds gathering on the horizon, thick, heavy, brewing a storm. How much danger are we talking? Cole asked. Maria closed her eyes for a moment, gathering strength. Your father owed money, to a group that doesn't forgive debts. Men who move in shadows. They don't ask twice. They take land, cattle, lives. A cold shiver crawled up Cole's spine. He clenched the letter in his fist. So they're coming here, soon, she whispered. Your father thought they'd wait a few months. But rumors started spreading that the Maddox ranch was unguarded. That there were only a few hands left after the drought. That you were alone. Cole cursed under his breath. The ranch had been struggling. Too few workers, too many broken fences, not enough rain. He'd barely been able to hold it together. If dangerous men were truly on their way, he didn't stand a chance alone. But he wasn't alone, not anymore. Maria stepped closer, her voice steadier now. Your father didn't just send me to warn you. He taught me things, asked me to practice, told me I'd need to ride fast, guide cattle, maybe even defend the ranch in ways I never imagined. She swallowed. I was scared, but I promised him. It struck Cole then, like a punch to the ribs. Maria wasn't just here out of duty. She had grit, determination, loyalty. She carried burdens that weren't even hers, and she carried them without complaint. Why would you risk all that? He asked quietly. You could have run the other way. Because your father saved my family, she said. And because, she paused, meeting his gaze. Because I believe in you, Cole. Even if you don't believe in yourself yet. For a long moment, nothing moved. Not the grass, not the horses, not even the clouds. Then Cole exhaled slowly, like he'd been holding his breath for days. All right, he said, voice firm. If trouble's coming, then we'll meet it. Together. A flicker of relief crossed Maria's face. But also fear, and determination. Cole turned toward the ranch house, new purpose burning in his chest. We'll fortify the place, fix the broken fences, send word to the neighbors. And you, he paused, glancing at her. You'll keep riding, because if things go south, you might need to run for help.